Okay, so today I'm going to show how to hang a secondary bag to a primary line. So for that we need a secondary tubing, and then we need adapter. We also need the solution in which we are going to mix the medication itself, and a few alcohol swabs. And you also need a patient label, a medication label, which goes onto the bag after we mix it. Sometimes they come mixed, and so we don't have as much work to do, but otherwise we have to mix it up. So first thing what we have to do is we have to take this lid off, and sometimes you can touch it by mistake, or it's always safe, never hurts to clean it. So you clean it for a good 10 seconds. And then take the adapter from its package, and from on the side you have to just push it in like really hard. So once it's in, then you need the bag, and this is the med port. So you have to wipe it clean. So you wipe it clean, and then you open that. There's a needle inside there, so you have to push it in carefully so that you don't puncture the sides. So you have to push it in hard. Now if you see there are like two markings over here, this have to align with itself by just twisting it a little bit, and once it's aligned, then you push it in. So once you push it in, actually the needle, it punctures through the rubber lid of the medicine. And then you squeeze it and bring the fluid into the bottle and fill it halfway up there, and then gently mix it, or you can just leave it hanging before you get the rest of the stuff. The next what we need is the tubing. So with the tubings, these are special for Alaris pumps. So this has a perforation on the side, so open the side like that, and then take the tubings out. We don't need this here anymore because we have needleless ports these days. So trash these. So with this tubing we have the hanger here. So first thing, you have to put this hanger onto the primary tubing that's running, and always make sure when you are hooking the secondary medication to the primary bag, make sure that they are compatible. So if it is not compatible, then you have to take IV bag which is compatible to the medication that you're going to give. So I'm giving photonics, and I have checked with the compatibility micromedics on my computer, and they are compatible. And I am going to mix the photonics with the saline, so I know they are compatible. So this is good. The next thing what you're going to want to do is to take off the paper bindings, and then again, like in the primary tubing, first clamp it. It's important that you clamp it as soon as you take it out of the package, because the tubing is short, and if you don't clamp it, the whole medicine can get wasted. And always, it's good practice to hold the tip of the tubing in your hand, whether it is a primary or a secondary tubing. So now you have the medicine in your hand, and it's all mixed. Make sure that there are no lumps inside the medication bottle, and once it's all done, then you have to with negative pressure it brings it out, so you have to press it and bring down the medication to the bag. It's important that you don't forget this step, because many times you can see that you mix it, you wait for it to get dissolved, and then you forget to bring it down, because the medication goes to the patient from this bag, not from the bottle. So make sure all the medication has come down to the bag, and then again make sure it is clamped, and take the lid off this port, and then you can clean it again. Again, it never hurts to clean. If the cover is intact and if you haven't touched the openings, then it's okay if you don't clean it too. So take the lid off that, and then carefully spike it. Again, make sure it is clamped, very important, and then hang it up. So by gravity, whichever bag is at the top will go faster, will go first. So if you, since this is down now, this will go. And at the end of this medication, once this is all over, then it'll switch over to the primary bag. So always make sure that the bag you want to go first is on top. Okay, first is on top. So again, as for the primary bag, half fill the chamber by pressing onto it, so you can actually see it drip. And you don't have to prime this like we do the primary, because then you might end up losing some of the medication. So what we do is what's called as a back priming. So again, clean this port because there's no Kuros cap here. If there was Kuros cap, you didn't have to clean it. So clean the port and allow it to air dry, and then fix it there. So once this is done, now this is all air, we need to get this out. So what you do is take it off the IV stand and then bring it down, bring it below, and then open the clamp and watch it come up, watch all the air come up into this bag so that the air will come and settle up on top. So now you see that there's no air bubbles here. So you have to watch it come fill it up. So if you let it too long, then there'll be too much of fluid into the bag and it will mess up your concentration. So once you have done this, then you can hang it up, and you can also release the clamp, because once it is released, then you have to set the pump here. So we have press channel select. So anytime you want to, you can pause it. Anytime you want to make any changes, you first hit channel select, and that's the starting point. So channel select, and it says primary infusion 25 ml per hour it's going, but we need the secondary tubing, secondary bag to go. So you have here secondary tubing, so secondary, and then we need photonics. So it's in the alphabetical order. So P to T, let's P there. Well, there's a page. There's a back here, so go back. Where is it? Does it seem to be missing? Trunks. Okay, so that's P there, pantoprazole, which is photonics, and so it says 40 milligrams and 100 ml was selected, and that's what it is. So 40, you also have to make sure that the label is filled up. So I've already filled it up beforehand. So, and I have checked this with the doctor's order and they're all correct. So I have 40 milligrams in 100 ml, and which will be 0.4 milligrams per ml. And then you press next to confirm. And it says again for how long you want it to run. So 400 ml in 100 ml, and it kind of programs itself. When you put in the right drug and the right dose, it will come up with the timing and the rate that it has to run. So this has to go for 15 minutes, and then once you're sure everything is what you want and how you want, press start. And make sure you put the label on the bag. So like again, as long as it's green, then it is running. So it's running at 400 ml per hour for over 15 minutes. Now for any reason, if you want to pause it, then there's a pause button there. You can pause it. So if you want to give any, if you want to flush the line or something that you needed to pause, then you can pause it. So you don't have to clamp it now. Once it is paused, then it will not be going. And it will only keep beeping, and you'll have to restart it for it to go. So you don't have to, once this is going, you don't necessarily have to clamp it if you need to stop. That's it.